Hello, and welcome to the 5 Core Life Podcast with Will Moore, founder of More Momentum. Today's episode is all about how to develop good habits and having a growth owner mindset. Will sits down with Bryan Abasolo of Bachelor Nation. He's the one that actually got engaged to Rachel Lindsay from Bachelorette, if those of you are Bachelor Nation fans, and talks about the habits, tactics, and strategies that you need to become a growth owner. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the 5 Core Life Podcast. And are you ready to fire on all cylinders? If so, let's go.
You should move out here to LA. I mean, you may have a career in showbiz.
So listen, this is actually, let's start this with a funny story. I am the worst actor on the planet. My mother, my wife, she's on right now because I think she thinks you're awesome. As I said, we both watched your season and we loved it and we're super excited.
I appreciate that.
When I was younger, I gave acting a go. And I was like, you know what? Seems like a cool thing. Like, I can do this. And I was in a play. This is what ended my acting career. I did a play where I played a dying German soldier, and my mom came to see it. And I mean, I don't know how you are with your mom. Like, you love your mom, but at the same time, it's like, I don't think there's anybody that I could be more self-conscious around than my mom when she came to see the show. Whereas some people may go, what do you mean? It's your mom. Who cares? But I was like so nervous. And I actually thought I pulled it off and did a pretty good job. And we get out of this, she waits for me. We're done with the show. I come out and I'm like, hey. And she's like, oh, love you so much, son. Great job. And she's like, brutal honesty? That was painful to watch. She's like, that was like, you just were so overacting. And she's like, I don't know if you were trying to do that, but she's like, I mean, the death and the moans and the groans. I mean, I was literally just playing a guy dying. Like, I didn't have hardly any lines. I'm like, how hard could this be? So honestly, that was kind of like it for me. And my mom, by the way, loves to tell that story. My wife knows that story. She's still like, when we get in a group with people, complete strangers, that's like the first go-to story she goes to. So acting, not my thing, but this is my thing. So thank you, my man, for being on there.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, mom knows best, I guess, right?
Mom knows best, right? And she was right. It wasn't my thing. Some people are able to do that, just transport themselves. And I'm always like in such awe of these types of people. You're in LA, you're in Hollywood now. I mean, what's your take on it?
Well, I mean, I might take a little dip in it. You never know. I'm always looking for extra sources of income. So,
right.
Commercials, modeling, acting. I mean, if that's in my future, then great. But obviously the chiropractic, and all the health and wellness aspect of my career is where my focus is. So that's the bread and butter. But you never know. I mean, obviously I'm out here and, there's a lot of other resources that I didn't have in Miami per se. So, I'll definitely explore those.
I love it. Well, I mean, it's kind of like, why not, right? Like, you might as well, you're in a position where you did this show and it's kind of a win-win for you. You found this great lady and you've got this notoriety, and it's sort of like a lot of, in life, sometimes, that's rare that you get these opportunities. So, dude, I want you to try. Promise me right now you'll give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you don't want to be wondering when you're 90, like, oh, back in that day when I had that, there was like this, should I have?
You got to take risks in life. You got to take risks in life and just go for it. And you know what? Like, if it's a failure, at the end of the day, I always look at things like that as a learning lesson. You grow from it, you learn from it. There's never a loss. It's either you win or you take a learning lesson and you grow stronger as a person. So that's how I always try to look at things.
Now we're talking. Now we're getting into really what the show's about. It's been a lot of fluff until now, but so wellness, you're a chiropractor, you're into health and wellness, mind, body, all that stuff. I'm sure it all connects. And, failure is one of those things that we talk about a lot on this show. And, I tend to interview people that have kind of they get that universal principle. We talk about universal principles a lot, which I consider things that have been around since the beginning of man, even before. But once man came around, they started to, come into play. And then they're going to be around until we destroy ourselves one day. Hopefully not, but, it's headed that way. And there are these things you can hang your hat on. And one of these universal principles to me is, failure is in your, it's a perceived thing, and failure can either rule your life in a negative way where it just stops you in your tracks, doesn't let you take action, builds negative momentum, unhappiness in your life. Or, like as you just said, you can look at it as, okay, yeah, everybody fails. It's actually mandatory. Like,
Yeah,
you can't succeed without failing. And
absolutely.
if it's all about what you do with that failure, like, yeah, sure, okay, you can take a moment and be like, that sucked, it stung, it didn't feel good. Like, I'm not saying jump up and down for joy, but it's how quickly you get back up and go, okay, what did I learn from that? Like, how can I use that to help me to become bigger, better, faster, stronger, smarter moving forward? Because if you just dwell on it and let it freeze you, you're effed, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was reading this quote, and it's basically, it says, if you focus on what you can't control, if you focus on the past failures, whatnot, if you focus on what is missing in your life constantly, the pattern of focus will leave you frustrated, overwhelmed, and depressed. So it goes to speak to what you just said. I mean, you're going to put yourself in a very dark place if all you do is harp on, the constant failures that you may be having. But you never know when that breakthrough is going to come in the future. You know what I mean? It could be around the corner. And I think that you just need to, I think one of the most important things that people need to have out there is a positive mindset. If you can maintain positivity in any situation in life, I think that's half the battle. I actually read a book by the author is older author. I think he passed away already. He definitely did pass away, but it's Norman Vincent Peale. It's called The Power of Positive Thinking. And my dad actually passed that book down to me a couple years back. He's like, look, I read this book when I was younger, and it really helped me out a lot. And, it was just reinforcing positivity in your mind, like affirmations every single day, and just really making it a habit to focus on the positive. And that's actually something that I took onto the show, believe it or not. Is I actually listened to the audiobook about a month before I went on, day after day in my car ride to work. It was about 20 minutes there and back, so 40 minutes of just constantly listening to this audiobook in the car. And I went on to the show with like such positivity and such confidence, like nothing was gonna get me down. Like whatever came my way, I was just gonna say, you know what? Let's say it was a setback, I'm gonna bounce back from it. And at the end of the day, I just had this really overwhelming positive attitude going on the show, and I think that helped me out a lot.
Dude, I can guarantee you that it helped you. And you said something earlier about it being 50%. I mean, I'd argue that it's so I talk about these even way higher. Like,
yeah.
Put it this way. So I talk about these different areas of your life that we all have, we all share. And some of us they're obvious and we're aware of them. We all know that like we should probably improve them, some of them. Mindset is your first one.
Yeah.
Is the first core. And then it's your career and your finances. It's your relationships. It's your physical health. And then it's your emotional health and the giving back side of life. Yeah. And, we all share these. And to me, it's like, if you're not, mindset is what they're all wrapped around. And that in order to, I call it firing on all cylinders, when you're starting to build momentum and you're replacing your failure habits with success habits in each one of these main areas, you're becoming happier and happier, and your mind, your body, you're headed in the right direction. But mindset really is what they all kind of wrap around. And that
foundation,
your mindset being, I call it, I call it a growth owner versus a fixed victim. And so your growth owner is somebody, just like you said, it's like, okay, I got everything within me to kick ass, take names, and I was born with certain strengths and certain weaknesses. I'm going to outsource those weaknesses. I'm going to figure out how to work around them. That doesn't make me a bad person. We're all born with, the way we are. I'm going to focus on my strengths, focus on my passions, and I'm going to set goals and become bigger, better, faster, stronger every step of the way. Obstacles are temporary roadblocks. I'm going to fail forward. I'm going to learn from the lessons, and ain't nothing going to stop me. If you can get that, I mean, it sounds sounds pretty awesome to have, but it's a lot easier said than done.
Correct,
And it's
yeah.
one of those things you got to build slowly. You can't just like snap your fingers, especially when we live in a society where there's a lot of these negative things going against that type of feeling, right?
Yeah.
We grow up and we feel like, well, if I'm not this, and I've been put in this box, and if I don't live in that box and do good in that box, then
Yeah.
I'm not great. And that's what's really sad about our society.
Yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. I'm sure you've heard that saying before. And like any adversity or failure that's there is, like we said, is meant to challenge you and help you grow and just become a better person. And, if you are having trouble with any type of mindset issues, if you find yourself constantly in the negative, I mean, there's things that you can access out there. I mean, the internet is forever, right? We have YouTube. I mean, for me personally, this may work for somebody else out there. I listen to inspirational, motivational videos on a daily basis once I wake up. Actually, I put it in the shower, I crank up the volume, and I just listen to this. For whatever reason, the shower is where I do a lot of my thinking. So that's kind of like where I like to listen to this stuff. And yeah, I mean, I hear the best, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Les Brown. I mean, all these guys, Goggins. I mean, all these guys come on there and just drop absolute gems that I take with me. I write them down. Sometimes like I'll pause it and I'll be like, wow, you know what he just said, that applies to my life or can pretty much apply to anybody else's life. So I highly recommend that. It gets my day going in such a positive direction, and I'm motivated. I want to tackle the day and seize the day. And yeah, I mean, there's other things you could do, but that's just my way of pumping myself up just to attack life on a daily basis.
I love that, man. Yeah, this ties into, I talk to a lot of my guests about their morning routines.
Yeah.
To me, it's important to have successful routines throughout the day that are, as I said, the key is to be aware of the habits and the things you're doing on a daily basis, and to kind of step back and be like, is this helping me to get to where I want to go, or is it hurting me? And that morning routine is huge. It's funny. I'm very similar with the shower thing. I actually go so far as to, I need a better system. I literally will step out of the shower and I have my towel there and I dry my hands. I grab my phone and I take notes, right? And so I'm like dripping wet. I'm getting it all over. But I know, I'm straight up. I know that, and especially, most people are this way. We're living in an ADD generation where it's like a thought comes in, and then before you know it, something shiny and wiggly is going, hey, look at me over here, and then it's gone, right? And so it's like, I want to make sure writing down is huge. And I love that you said that, because it's so easy to like get inspired for a hot minute, and you listen to something, you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then, like I said, then you move on, and it hasn't stuck. You have to actually put it into practice to where you're holding yourself accountable and being like, I know that this is something I need to do. And if I do it, I'm going to be happier. I'm going to be more successful, whatever you want to call it. But how hard is that? That's what 99% of the people don't do. You scroll through Facebook, you scroll through Instagram, and what do you see? Real quick motivational quotes that are super inspiring until 0.3 seconds later when you scroll to the next one. And then that thing's gone, right?
Yeah.
Like, how have you actually put that into play? And I'm not saying there's no value in just listening to that stuff, even if you never write it down. I do think there is. Because like you said, it's just getting your mind into kind of this mode of thinking positively and having that growth owner mindset. But writing down is huge.
Yeah, no, I definitely write things down all the time. I make lists. There's something about, writing things down, all your goals, all your, tasks that you have for your day, and just checking them off a list. Something about that, makes me feel accomplished. Other people should try it out there. And like you said, the momentum is gone once you think about an idea and, then all of a sudden you forget about it 15 minutes later. Like, you need to actually decide. Like, once you do decide, you need to plan and you need to begin. Tony Robbins' famous words to use are massive action. If you have an idea, if you think of something, you know, that you really want to do, that you're passionate about, at the end of the day, the execution is where most people fail. And, you know, they have great ideas and, you know, they may even write it down the whole nine, but it collects dust in the corner. And that's where most people have problems. So you just, even if you think you're not ready, I mean, there's been times where, you know, I think I'm not ready for things, you know, opening up my own business and, you know, bringing in all these patients. Like, am I going to be able to handle? Like, sometimes you just got to throw yourself to the fire and just take the hits as they come. But that's only going to make you stronger. You're going to grow from it. You're going to learn from those experiences and become, in my case, a better practitioner and better able to serve my patients. So sometimes you just got to take the risk, man.
Dude, I mean, you're a wise dude. And I mean, this is like, I mean, what you're saying, I just want to kind of emphasize something because, like, to me, this is like everything. And the more of these conversations I have and the more people I talk to and the more I see, you know, people that are, you know, I always put success in quotes, by the way, because my definition of success is different than what most people think. It doesn't revolve around fame and money, but rather kind of, as we were just talking about, having that growth owner mindset and being on a journey where you're enjoying the ride and you're not just focused on that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow and drinking a pina colada on a beach at the end, and then you'll be happy. Like the whole if only, which many of us get caught up. If only I had enough money. If only I had enough likes on Instagram. If only I had the right girlfriend, the right wife. If only I was taller. Like that's just a recipe for misery. Right. And I love, no, sorry, go ahead.
Something that you said, you obviously talked about success. And again, another gem that I found from one of the videos, success is something you attract by being an attractive person. So like, think about that and apply to every single aspect of your life. How can I be a more attractive partner in my relationship? How can I be a more attractive doctor in my practice? If you ask yourself that question and you answer it yourself, I mean, you're going to see exactly what you need to do. Like in a relationship, okay, how can I be more attractive? I need to communicate better. I need to, whatever the case may be that you have in your relationship, like, you know what you need to do to be a more attractive person to that partner. Be more romantic, you know, go out more on dates. When, as a doctor, like, okay, what value am I bringing to my patients? I want to be more attractive to them. So is it bringing in more services, or, you know, improving my bedside manner, or whatever the case may be in any aspect of life? I think that if you ask yourself that and you try to be the most attractive person in every single aspect, I think that that's going to help you. That's going to help motivate you. It's going to give you a clear answer as to what you need to do.
I love that. Yeah. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about these universal principles. Like, that's a universal principle. And what's cool about principles is that there's so many different ways to say them. Like, there was a famous quote one time, it was something to the effect of, as to principles, or life is complicated, but principles aren't. And as to principles, there are few, but ways to describe and to implement them, there are many. And the way I look at the exact same thing you're saying, but that principle is essentially, if you're just continuing to grow in every area of your life, right? And you use the word attractive, same type thing. Like, being attractive means you're working to become better, right? So it's like, if you're growing in your mindset, if you're growing in your physical health, if you're growing in your relationships, in your career, and your finances, the more you grow, the more not only awesome you feel, but then your mindset will improve. I call it the success loop. You hop into it, and then you just start feeling good, and you start taking more action, and you start feeling more confident. And that gives you more energy to take even more action, and so on and so forth. And then people can't help but be like, damn, like, I want to be around that.
Yeah. No, that energy is absolutely attractive to go back and use that word. I mean, it's something that people want to be around you, like you said. I mean, you just have that energy, that glow that people love.
Love it. So let's switch gears for a second and talk a little bit more about, so your career. So you're a chiropractor.
Yes,
That's
sir.
your main bread and butter.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that? And is this something that you see yourself doing for the rest of your life, or would this potentially pivot into something else?
Well, to start off, I've always been intrigued by the healthcare field. As I was growing up when I was young, and then leading into high school and college, I started focusing more on my physical health, right? I started working out. I was a twig in high school, but like senior year, I gained like 15 pounds. Going into college, I started focusing on my diet more. So like the health and wellness aspect picked up big time during those years. And my intrigue for the healthcare field always grew, and I was geared more towards the natural aspect of it. So I actually ended up shadowing a doctor in my college town, and she was doing great. I mean, she was making six figures, working like 30 hours a week. I love the bedside manner, the interaction, that the patient doctor interaction. I love that aspect of it. Very friendly, not like, no knock on MDs or anything, but sometimes you just go, they do a quick analysis, they give you a script, and you're out
Right.
the next patient. So I love more of the rapport that she had with the patient. So that really struck me when that happened. So you know what, I said, I'm just going to dive in. I did all the prereqs. I applied to school. I got accepted. I actually graduated in 2007, got my license in 2008. So yeah, I've been doing it ever since. So more or less 12, 13 years now. And is it something that I will always want to do? I do. My main focus in my practice is bringing my patients the most quality, most innovative technologies that are out there to improve their health. So I focus mainly on low back and neck, acute and chronic pain. I do a lot of spinal decompression. I have like the best decompression table on the market, which has been studied. Everything that I use, I try to have scientific research behind it, showing that it is actually effective. Because obviously that's powerful. Everybody wants, the proof in the pudding. They want to know that they're going to get better if they pay me their hard-earned money. I want to deliver. So I want to deliver the best. So I work with very powerful technologies, like I said, spinal decompression, deep tissue lasers, and I'm looking to bring on more gadgets like that, just to enhance the quality of life for my patients. So I think it's something that is always evolving, and it's something that I definitely want to do. I want to bring on the latest and greatest now and in the future, and just continue to help, because it's fulfilling. It's fulfilling, and that's something that people should search for in their life, is something that they're passionate about and something that fulfills them deep down inside, and just seeing them, how they come in so much pain, and then leaving, giving you thanks and gratitude for everything that you did for them. I mean, that's everything. At the end of the day, that makes it all worth it.
Well, so you're hitting on, like I said, part of one of your fifth core, emotional health and the giving back side. Like, as humans, if we're not doing that, something doesn't quite feel right. And when it's all about you, although from an evolutionary perspective, like the low hanging fruit, our lower selves, we're selfish creatures, right? Because you go back thousands of years, and it was like the more selfish we were, the more stuff we would hoard and gather, like the more we would, we could actually live to age 23 instead of die at 14, like most of our brethren, right? And now it's like, okay, well, things have changed, but our brain hasn't actually evolved past that yet. So most of us still focus on the me, what can I get? And that's just ends up being, it's just a dead end. And no matter how much you get, and then you get caught up in that whole, like we were saying earlier, like if only, okay, so I made $1 million. If only it feels good, but 10 million, that's where I need to be. Well, that guy has a jet. Well, I want a better jet. It's like there's no end to it. And so just having something part of what you're doing for a living, where you're literally helping people.
Yeah.
Is that there's no, in my opinion, I always tell people, like, whatever you do, make sure your strengths are involved and your passions, and try to have that giving back, that helping part of it, because there's just no better feeling than making a living doing something where you're helping other people.
Couldn't agree with you more, man. Couldn't agree with you more.
And another thing I wanted to say was, yeah, I mean, in terms of, this whole the chiropractor and just helping people like physically, have you? Well, let me ask you this before I get into that, because I just thought of this while you were talking. Do you get people like fans? Like, how do you handle? Because obviously, people know who you are.
Yeah.
So how do you handle when people come in and they're like, are they there to actually get cured, or are they making up an ailment because they want to see me? I'm curious how that works.
Well, I don't think nobody's gone that far where they're just making up an injury to come in.
That you know of.
That I know of. I mean, usually I can pretty much pick up on that right away because I do a thorough history and exam, and I mean, unless they're amazing actors, pretty much everybody that's come in has had some type of condition. But yes, do people recognize me? Do they come in because of that? Obviously, that is a perk of having the platform that I have. At the end of the day, obviously, though, I have to deliver. I could be, the most famous person in the world or whatnot, but if I don't get this person better and they paid me their hard-earned money, I didn't deliver. So,
right.
I pride myself on that. People do ask me about the show, and they're inquisitive. They want to take pictures and whatnot. I kind of try to downplay it in the practice.
I bet. Right. I mean, that's got to be it's got to be interesting dynamic there.
Yeah. I mean, I spend a lot of time with my patients. I'm usually with them, or their treatment session is usually about 45 minutes to an hour. So we get to chatting. So I become very friendly with my patients, and they'll always ask me like, oh, what do you think of this and that on the show, or did you see last night's episode? And I'll chat and I'll give my opinion. But
do you guys watch Bachelor, Bachelorette?
Rachel doesn't like the show. Like, Rachel's never she was actually someone who never watched a show prior.
Fair enough.
Before going on, she literally just like TiVo'd DVR'd the previous
TiVo. Oh, I love it, dude. You're from
right, old school.
You're going back now, baby.
I'm telling my age right there, but just DVR'd the previous season, and she just sped right through it, and she's like, oh God, I don't know if I want to be on this thing. But it was I was actually a fan. I watched with all my ex-girlfriends. We were there watching and be like, oh God, look at this guy. I
mean, how fun is it to just sit there and just judge people guilt-free, right? Like, hey, they put themselves out here, so I can say whatever I want. It's funny. My wife and I, same with you. We've always watched. Although I admit we didn't watch these last couple seasons. I think I needed to just take a breather. But we would kind of convince ourselves that our judgment was okay, and we're like, look, we're not judgy people in real life, but hey, let's get a glass of wine, let's watch The Bachelor. These people are, they put themselves out here, and they know that there's going to be judgment as part of it, and so let's just have fun with it. And that's kind of what we would do.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like a lot of people sometimes they look at us like, okay, these people are on our TV screens. Like, I don't know if like the perception is they're not real people, but yes, we are real people. So me being on both sides, like before, like I said, I would always like, oh God, look at like the secondhand embarrassment was a constant, like, oh God, no, he didn't do that, or no, she didn't do that, or whatever the case may be. And it was comedic relief, so you're like back and forth with the person you're watching it with, and you're cracking jokes, and it's all fun and games. But once I was on the show, I was like, okay, wow, now the biggest reality check for me was Twitter that first night.
Oh God.
I thought, I got the first impression rose, I got the first kiss.
So you're thinking, oh, we're going to get some good comments here. There's always haters, right?
I did great, and I just got annihilated on Twitter. Like, holy crap, this is a whole new world.
You got to have thick skin, right? Yeah. Well, that's the thing, and that's the thing about fame. Like we opened the call kind of joking around about that, but for sure, when you're in the spotlight, it's like people always want to build up the dark horse, the what do you call it, the underdog, right? They want to build that up. People love that whole But then once you're up there, people just it's in their nature. They just want to tear you down. Not everybody, obviously. I'm seeing a lot of love for you here, and of course, I'm sure there's more love than hate, but there's certain people, and again, it goes back to the mindset, fixed victims in life. Like, okay, like what is it about you that you feel like you need to go out of your way to write something just absolutely horrendous and mean to try to tear me down? Like, are you happy with your life? So I got to the point where I was actually used to really feed into that stuff. I was very insecure growing up. And like you said, I was a skinny little runt, and I grew like 6 inches in the summer. I was like $140, like 6'3". And I got made fun of all the time. And, it really got to me, and it ruined my teen years, really. And I was actually suicidal by the time I got to my freshman year of college. And, as my mindset progressed, I started getting into self-help books similar to you. Yeah. I serendipitously discovered this one book in college that a professor recommended, and then I was off to the races, and I never looked back. And I've just always been like this insatiable self-help beast, just constantly learning, growing, trying to become the best version of myself. And, I learned that like, it's them. Like feeling sympathy for these people, if you can get that mindset going where you completely change the perception of how dare they, I hate them, getting upset, dwelling, to, man, I feel sorry for that person. Like, how bad does their life suck that they have to go out of their way to make somebody else feel bad? If they were happy and they had any sort of good life going for them, they wouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Me personally, like I don't think I've ever even thought about putting a negative comment on somebody else's page with whatever they're doing, even if I don't agree with it. Like that's just not in my nature. And I totally agree with you. I mean, it's reflective of an insecurity that they have in themselves, and it's sad in a way. And you just hope that they gain that enlightenment in life, to reverse that. And then I also think of it in the sense of, because a lot of people take it so personal, and they're like, oh my God, they're attacking me. But like, everybody gets it. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, you could be the most famous celebrity in the, like The Rock. The Rock gets hate. Okay.
Right.
It's like, if The Rock is getting hate, then you know what I'm saying? Like, you can handle it too. Like, he's one of the most famous people in the world. So just an example. Yeah. Like, I always think of it like that. Like, look, I'm not the only one dealing with this. It is what it is. These people don't, pay my bills. They don't factor into where I'm going, what I'm doing. They're just there to spew hate. And in a sense, you can maybe use it as fuel to your fire, because I mean, there's people that just troll and add an account with, 0 followers, 0 posts. They just literally made the account to hate on you and to things. Like, I'll block those people. But yeah, like, I'm not the type, like, if somebody has a criticism, like, I'll go back and forth with them if it's valid and whatnot, and I can accept that. And maybe they make a good point. Maybe it's something that you can improve on.
Right.
So
right. It's not right. An evolved person can learn to differentiate. Okay, that's just pure hate versus, okay, is there something there? Right. And it's that fine line, and you got to be self-confident. You got to have that thick skin, and you got to have that growth owner mindset of being like, okay, I'm going to take this with a grain of salt, and versus like going to this deep, dark hole. Like, oh my God, am I this way? Right. And we all have things, and like we were talking about at the beginning of the show, like, growth is happiness, and we all have things we can work on and improve. And so in a way, like, if you can look at it like, God, it's nice that I can get feedback from like the entire world. Yeah. But again, the key is to be able to cut out that stuff that's clearly just vitriol for no reason other than
exactly. Channel out all the negative and don't listen to the noise. Like, focus on what you need to do. Stay positive. I mean, that's always what I try to do.
So speaking of positive, so I just read something. You and Rachel are now living in the same. You've now moved to the same city. Is this correct?
Yes, we are finally back together again in Los Angeles. It was a situation where I had my practice in Miami. I was growing it. Everything was going great. And she, her work was in LA. There wasn't really a lot of work in Miami, at least the type of work that she wanted to do. Obviously, she's on a national level now. And, in Miami, it just wasn't conducive for that. So she actually came out here, I would say, back in September, October. So we've been living bi-coastal for several months now. I mean, right now, we're in April. So, and I got here 2 weeks ago. So, I would come and visit. My schedule was a little bit more flexible, but with everything she had going on and with the tight rules that were here in California, it just wasn't feasible for her to go, mainly because of COVID. So for her to come to Miami, take a week off, and then come back to be another couple of weeks, it just wasn't feasible. So I would travel out here. It was tough. A lot of FaceTiming, a lot of support in relationships, a lot of communication, constant, updating each other on what's going on in our day. That was always a constant. And finally, obviously we're looking to start a family in the near future. So
nice, man.
It was a situation where obviously, me being in Miami, her being here, wasn't.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Doesn't work like that. So
when you have kids, yeah, it's right, immaculate conception.
Exactly.
Depending on what you believe. Right. I got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. Man, dude, just go for it. There's nothing better. And I can tell already, like, your vibe, your personality, you're gonna be a great dad.
Appreciate that.
And your kid's lucky. One of the things I always talk about, like we kind of talked briefly at the beginning of this show, like the system, in my opinion, is broken for the most part, in terms of, like, you have all these influencers. The minute you're born a blank slate, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to take on the world. When you're a small kid, it's just about, like, okay, how can I maximize this day to have the most fun possible, right? And then we start to get a little bit older, and whatever it is our parents' trip is, what their morals, their values, when they fight all the time, they, focus on the wrong things. It's kind of a crapshoot. Like, you hope you get a good one, and, like, this is kind of where it's coming from. Like, somebody like you that, like, if you that mindset part is, like, such a huge part of it. Like, getting that mindset going, so many of their problems will just work themselves out. But if you have a parent that has that victim mindset, like, that's what you're going to mimic. And then all of a sudden, then it's your peers, right? And then it's the schooling system, which, don't get me started. We're still learning about advanced trigonometry and, biology, AP 9.7. We're not learning things like emotional intelligence, how to be happy, how to balance our checkbook, how to just get along with people and be happy. Like, these aren't subjects taught in school, right? So then you're kind of on your own to figure this shit out. And then, the news, the media. I mean, have you seen The Social Dilemma, by the way, on Netflix? Have you seen that doc?
I have not, but if that's a rec, we'll definitely check it out.
Watch it, because it does a really good thing of what I was just about to say, which is, I'll give you the brief version, but it's like these big companies like Facebook, Google. Now, for the record, I don't think Larry Page, Mark Zuckerberg, these guys started out to be evil human beings by any means. They're just people trying to grow their business. However, here's what's happened. The genie's out of the bottle, and they're trapped. They have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders to make as much money as possible by monetizing our attention at any cost. So if the Social Dilemma uses this example, like they actually do a half documentary of, like, people that have been in this industry and work in it and can see, like, what's actually happening, and then it's like actors as well, kind of going through the scenario. And so this guy, he basically, his girlfriend breaks up with him, and he's in this, like, deep, dark pit of despair, and he's, like, scrolling through social media, and then he sees this, like, hate, like, type of QAnon group type thing, and he, like, clicks on it, right? And then all of a sudden now he's seeing more of those types of ads, and he clicks on another one, and then he's seeing gun ads, right? And then it's like it all escalates to, like, at the end of the thing, he's, like, got a gun, and he's at one of these rallies, and he's about to either shoot somebody or get arrested, and you're like, dude, this is what's happening. And so, like, this media and stuff, it's now shows us what it thinks we want to see based on what we're clicking on, but that's only polarizing us more and more from the rest of the world, right? Like, we're going down one way, and then everybody else who disagrees is not only wrong, they're evil. They're evil human beings. I mean, you look at the political situation in our country, forget about it.
Isn't it crazy? Like, sometimes I feel like I'm just thinking about something, and all of a sudden an ad for that exact thing that I'm thinking about will pop up on the screen. It's like magic.
Right.
But yeah, I would say that's sometimes it could be overwhelming, social media, and sometimes you just need to take, like, a reset, a break. That's sometimes I do that in the mornings. Part of my routine is just waking up, and I mean, I know the urge is to check your emails, check Instagram, check Facebook and whatnot. And I just think that sometimes you just need to wake up, give thanks for, being alive another day, and, just maybe cook yourself a nice breakfast, like detox, don't turn on the TV, like maybe listen to something positive or motivational, and just keep your phone and all the electronics at bay, because it's just a lot of negative feedback a lot of times that, like you said, I mean, that in that movie, that guy basically saw all these things, and it turned out to be a huge negative at the end of what he turned into. So,
right. It can take you down the rabbit hole real quick. I mean, they're masters. This is what they're getting paid to do, is figure out how to make you click more and go. So whatever that rabbit hole is. But here's the key. There's no wellness. There's no happiness for you in that equation. Like,
yeah,
that's not even on the radar, right?
Yeah.
So wherever that rabbit hole takes you, as long as they're making more money off of it. And again, I don't want to sound one of these, by the way, technology is amazing. And part of my whole mission in life is to gamify your happiness, to use science and tech for your well-being by tricking your brain into, and things like you were mentioning earlier with your chiropractic. Chiropractic, is that a word?
I don't know with the chiropractor.
It's not, but we'll call it a word. With your chiropractoring, that you get the latest in these the bed that you're using. I can't remember what you called it, and these devices, and you're like, I want to stay on top of that. To me, my definition of gamification and gamifying your happiness, gamifying your well-being, is using science and tech to help to help you grow, right? And I'll be damned. Like, my mission is like, I will always put the user before profit, right? And it sounds like you're on that same, where it's like, I'm sure it wasn't cheap to buy these things, and you could have probably gotten away with using less awesome devices but you're like, by doing this, I know that it's the best possible way that I can treat my people, and this is going to pay off for me in the long run, right? And that's the way that I look at the world. And what I'm trying to kind of start this movement of is, let's gamify it, maybe let's use science and tech, because it's all, I mean, there's a lot of it out there that's helping us. I mean, like the Apple, with their rings, and to me it's like, okay, you got your rings, but that's physical health. What about your relationships? What about your career and finances? What about your other rings, right? And so it's part of what I'm trying to do, is making sure, like, to point out, and the messages that I put out and I post on my page and stuff, is like, hey, you can use this tech to help you. You can use, like, Peloton is a perfect example of gamifying your health, right?
Yep.
They figured out a way to reduce the friction to make you want to work out, right? Yep. It's a social thing, and then you want to compete against your buddies and other people, and you've got the TV screen, and brilliant, right? So it's not like tech is bad, it's how you're using it. And you got to be aware. It's like, teen suicide is straight up, it's at an all-time high. Why? Because a lot of these youngins that don't, maybe haven't learned that stuff in school or from their parents about what a growth owner mindset is, and how to not worry about what other people think and say about you, are just focusing on, why can't I be like this person? Why does this person have such a great life? Why can't I? And they're just going down that deep, dark hole and becoming more and more depressed.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Like, I feel like there should be those type of classes in school taught at an early age, like common sense things. And, as you grow, like for a guy, how to change a tire and things like that, just random things that you're going to probably need to apply later in life, compared to, trigonometry, like you had mentioned earlier. Like, when do we really use that as a true life skill? I mean, I actually compare that to chiropractic school. I don't know if they've changed now, but back when I was there, we were taught to, be a great chiropractor, be a great doctor, have amazing bedside manner. We were taught all that, and the books, the science and the anatomy and all that was well taught. But when we got out, there was no business class that we learned in school. So it's like, for somebody that wanted to go out and start their own business, it's like, okay, what the hell do? I got this great skill. I can basically heal people with my hands, and I'm ready to go. I'm motivated, but it's like, you have no idea what the hell you're doing as far as business. So, I mean, you could apply that example to like life, where it's like, you want to learn those skills that you're going to actually use, that are actually going to matter. So yeah, I mean, I think, hopefully there is a business class in chiropractic school where they teach, like like even if it's just fundamentals and basics of business, we didn't get that back in the day. So it's been I've had to learn that on my own, through failure, through trial and error, and just going through the lumps.
Yeah, man. Thank you for pointing that out. Right. And my wife just graduated last year from she got her doctorate in physical therapy here. We're in Chicago. We actually, part of the reason we moved to Chicago is for her to go to Northwestern here, so she could do that and go. And she got out and she said pretty much the exact same thing as you, in that she's like, they didn't teach us this, and so now she works for the Chicago public school system, and she's helping these kids, the ones that aren't able to like get up the stairs and that have issues, so that they can try to live a fairly normal life like the other kids in school. And part of it, and she, in the back of her mind, she wants to start her own practice, and fortunately she's got me as a husband who started a company, and I can kind of guide her through. But some of her friends doing the same, like they have no idea where to start or where to begin, and it's like so intimidating that they're like, I'm not even gonna bother. Like, how many people go through their life? Yet both for chiropractic, physical therapy, the business is a huge side of it, and there just was nothing on it.
Yeah, no, you definitely gotta be proactive, whether it's taking a business course or, like we were talking about the social media. I mean, just use that to your advantage. I mean, there's so many, I get blitzed with all kinds of, things to put advertisements for the practice or business courses that'll basically skyrocket your business. Those are the tools that you should be focusing on social media. Like, you need to ask yourself the question, is this benefiting me? Is this something that's going to help me get to where I want to go? So if it's not, if you're scrolling through comments and, getting in your feelings about what people are saying about you, like that's not conducive to what you're doing. That has nothing to do with where you're going, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and where you need to rechannel that, like you said, into things that are actually going to lead you to success and lead you to the point where you want to go.
Yeah, man. It looks like Rachel keeps texting you, hey, Bryan, what's going on?
Oh, the thing is, man, I'm actually I've been scheduling showings for real estate here in LA for a practice. Oh, nice. So yeah. The realtor is calling me like a bunch of times, but I have an appointment soon, so can't say.
We'll hop here. We're wrapping up. So, one thing I wanted to ask, you don't need to answer this if you want, if it's too personal, but this whole thing that happened with Chris Harrison was on your wife's podcast and made that one comment, and that kind of blew up. And then I saw you had some things to say about that. Where do you guys stand with that now? Like, do you feel like that's water under the bridge and no hard feelings, and it's like, or are you guys still kind of like want to use this as an opportunity to sort of use your voice and speak up about this topic?
Oh yeah, I mean, Rachel's a huge advocate, and she's obviously talking all the time about it. I support her 1000%, and yeah, we constantly got to speak up for those people that don't have a voice, or there's some type of injustice. I think everybody, should be that anti-racist, that person who's going to fight for justice, no matter who you are. And nobody's canceling anybody. I still follow Chris. I mean, it's a situation where he spoke out of turn. And what happened. And I think he's learned from it, and I'm sure he's going to become a better person for it. So,
good attitude.
I'm all for, people's growth. We're not into canceling anybody. We wish them the best, and we wish that they gain the knowledge that they didn't have before, per se. So,
right. If you don't give people second chances, it's like, what are we doing here? Like we don't, like, you don't mess up. I don't like, we all mess up. We all screw up. It's that whole, like, do it to me once, shame on you. Do it to me twice, shame on me. So I'm not exactly saying it right, but the whole point is like, yeah, you give people opportunities and hope that they grow from it. But then if they don't, then you can, remove them from your life.
Like, at the end of the day, it's all about accountability. We just want to see, we hold you accountable. We want to see you grow. We want to see you get better. And, that's it. We want to see you do the things that, are going to make you a better person. So it's as simple as that.
Yeah, man. Accountability. It's like top of my list. Clearly you're somebody that listens to these personal development, self-help. Accountability is one of those things that so many people just don't even think about or is on their radar. Yet it's like, if you want to grow as a person, you got to hold yourself accountable. You have to have some sort of system. So that's what I know you help people with that with chiropractor, and I help people with that with their lives in general and being happy. All right, last question here. I like to end it on this. Is there a particular habit that you currently have that you feel like is a huge reason why you have become who you are? And, in terms of, where you are in life, your happiness with your wife, that you somehow developed along, like we talked earlier about how, a lot of this growing up, we're in this broken system, and a lot of these failure habits kind of get put on us, and we don't realize that they're compounding over time, and then they take their toll. Is there something that you've developed that you're really proud of, that you have, that is the opposite, helping you build that positive momentum every day?
Honestly, I feel like it's just my mindset. My mindset, just everything that I've experienced in my life, obviously has led me to where I am today, and has developed that mindset. I just get up every single day trying to be wiser, stronger, better. That's it. It's a situation where everybody has challenges. Everybody goes through adversity. You're not alone. Although sometimes you may feel like, nobody is experiencing what you're experiencing, or feeling the way you're feeling. I know that everybody has their problems. Like, at the end of the day, nobody really cares about what I got going on. I still got to handle it. I still got to put my pants on and attack the day, but
Nice.
I would just say, just give thanks, huge sense of gratitude every single day for what you have. I think the great challenge in life, somebody said, is being happy with what you have while in the pursuit of what you want. And that's it, man. So I'm thankful for everything that I have today. I'm blessed, and so I always turn to that thinking when I'm down, or it's like something doesn't go my way. It's like, there's so many other people that are worse off. It's like, I live in a beautiful city, in a beautiful apartment with my wife. Like, things are just going great. And you just, sometimes, no matter what you have, like, you have something, and you just got to give thanks for that.
Yeah.
And live with that mindset, whenever anything goes wrong. And I think that's just going to set the tone for the rest of your life.
Well, it's a perfect bookend to this conversation. We kind of started the conversation talking about mindset, and, you are a growth owner. You are the epitome of that. And so kudos to you. Your wife's a lucky lady. You're a lucky man. Thanks, man. I know we had to reschedule this a couple of times. I really enjoyed this conversation. Go find an awesome house. Good luck, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right.
Guys,
Talk soon.
for hopping on, buddy. Take care.
That's it for the 5 Core Life. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button on this video and pound that subscribe button so you get notified when new episodes drop. Also, please fill out the free 5 Core Life Evaluator quiz. It's a great way to get a baseline of where you are in the 5 cores and which of the 5 cores you need support. In addition, you'll get some actionable advice that you can apply and start improving your life in the areas that you need it most. That's it for today's episode of the 5 Core Life Podcast. Have a wonderful day.
Get moving. Gain momentum. Join the movement. Join Emmett by going to moremomentum.com to take a free life evaluator quiz on where you currently stand in each of your 5 cores.